We give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son.
Abram and Lot became so wealthy that the land could no longer support them living together, and conflict arose between their herders. Abram chose peace over conflict and invited Lot to choose any part of the land first, saying, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me," in Genesis 13 verse 8. Lot chose the fertile plain towards Sodom, while Abram remained in Canaan in Genesis 13 verse 9 to 12. After Lot departed, the Lord reaffirmed His promise to Abram, telling him to look in every direction and promising to give him and his offspring all the land he could see forever in Genesis 13 verse 14 to 15. Abram responded by settling near Hebron and building an altar to the Lord. Genesis 14 recounts a regional war in which Abram's nephew Lot was taken captive. When Abram learned of this, he gathered 318 trained men from his household and pursued the invading kings in Genesis 14 verse 14 to 15. Through God's help, Abram defeated them and recovered all the goods, bringing Lot and the other captives safely back in Genesis 14 verse 16. After the victory, Melchizedek, priest of God Most High, blessed Abram and praised God for delivering Abram's enemies into his hands in Genesis 14 verse 18 to 19. Abram honored God by giving him a tenth and refusing riches that could compromise his witness. After the victory, Melchizedek, priest of God Most High, blessed Abram and praised God for delivering Abram's enemies into his hands in Genesis 14 verse 18 to 19. Abram honored God by giving him a tenth and refusing riches that could compromise his witness. God spoke to Abram in a vision, telling him, "Do not be afraid, I am your shield, your very great reward," in Genesis 15 verse 1. Though Abram struggled with fear and uncertainty because he had no child, God promised that his own son would be his heir and invited him to look at the stars, saying, "So shall your offspring be," in Genesis 15 verse 5. Abram believed the Lord, and his faith was counted to him as righteousness. God then confirmed His promise by making a covenant with Abram, declaring that the land would belong to his descendants in Genesis 15 verse 18. Sarai, unable to have children, encouraged Abram to have a child through her servant Hagar, leading to conflict and suffering within the household. Genesis 16 verse 2 to 5. When Hagar fled into the desert because of mistreatment, the angel of the Lord found her and spoke to her, instructing her to return and promising that her descendants would be too numerous to count in. Genesis 16 verse 9 to 10. The Lord revealed that her son would be named Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery, in Genesis 16 verse 11. Hagar responded by calling God the God who sees me, in Genesis 16 verse 13. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and declared, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless," in Genesis 17 verse 1. God reaffirmed His covenant, changed Abram's name to Abraham, and promised that he would be the father of many nations in Genesis 17 verse 5. God established circumcision as the sign of this everlasting covenant for Abraham and his descendants. Genesis 17 verse 10. God also renamed Sarai as Sarah and promised that she would bear a son, Isaac, through whom the covenant would continue. Abraham responded in obedience by circumcising every male in his household, exactly as God commanded.